So talking about time management with prioritising, calendar blocking and power hours. Okay, so just going to get straight into it, and I'm not going to be answering comments and everything. I'll reply to the comments and everything after I've done this. So prioritising, trying to prioritise our to-dos that we have and things that pop up on our day-to-day life can be really overwhelming, because a lot of the time it's really easy to get caught up with things that seem urgent and like emergencies, and we get caught up with how other people perceive things as being urgent. So and a great example of this is like your children stomping on their feet saying they're hungry for the third time in half an hour, or your husband coming through the door going, "What are you doing tomorrow?" It's like, not urgent, you know. But anyway, getting to it, I like to use a really good it's called a really good little diagram called an Eisenhower Matrix. Now, an Eisenhower Matrix was done by the 34th President of the United States, President Eisenhower, if you didn't pick up on that. And essentially it breaks it down into 4 categories: urgent, not urgent, important, and not important. So if you draw it into a grid, which I've done here, you can see my little square that I've done. So I've got urgent, not urgent, I've got important and not important. Now it's then listed them into, you know, things that are urgent and important need to be done number 1. Not urgent but important need to be done 2. So second. Then you've got your urgent but not important, number 3, and your not urgent and not important are number 4. If you would like a copy of that diagram, message me. I will send it through to you with a bit more information about how it's done. So essentially it breaks it down into your numbers 1, 2, 3 and 4. So number 1, things that fall under the number 1 category, they are your do first. You have to do it today or tomorrow. Now, pretty much these are things like, you know, you're having to read over or do a report at work. They're things that you can't really give it to someone else to do, and they need to be done pretty quickly. So filling up your car is a really good example. There's things that, you know, taking your kids to school or going to work, for example. But you get the gist. So they're the things you have to do then and there. They're unmovable. You need to do them as soon as possible. The number 2 list are the schedules. So these are the things that you know you have to do. And so with the things that you know you have to do but they're not urgent, they're things that you can open up your diary or write down on a piece of paper as a to-do list. And it's really good to say, you know, if they have deadlines, what are the deadlines and so forth. Now, the things that come under the not important categories are things that you can delegate. So number 3 are the things that need to be done pretty quickly, but they're really not important. That's what we call the delegation kind of section there. So they're things that you give to someone else. So if you're in the middle of doing something that's under a number 1 category, so it's important and it's urgent, and someone else comes in saying there's something else that's also urgent that needs to be done, that's where you turn around to them and say, well, can you please do it? Things that come under this kind of list and this kind of category, it's actually also important for you later on when you finish doing your urgent and important thing, number 1s, is to actually, you know, keep track of whether you email or, you know, one-on-one, you know, keep track of the fact that they're actually doing it or not. In the 4th category, which is your not urgent and not important, these are things that you just don't do. Like if they're not important and they're not urgent, these things are like scrolling through Facebook. These things are like procrastinating on TV or just reading, like whatever. Like, but these are things that are that, you know, usually are forming bad habits and whatnot. So they're actually what we like to call anti-productive tasks. And so they're just things that, you know, that are good to just not do at all. So that's your like prioritizing, which really comes important when you start to calendar block, which brings me to my next point. No, so calendar blocking, why do we do it? What is it and why do we do it? It is essentially blocking out time in your calendar and making time to do the important tasks urgent and not urgent tasks, and making it easier for you to manage your time around that. So it helps you to be so much more consistent with the things that are important to. Like, so if you want to, like, you know, whether it's Jamboree or if you've got another side biz or whatever it is that you're trying to do and you're trying to do it well, calendar blocking, no matter what you're doing, actually promotes consistency, activity, and consistent and stay consistent. Wow, I was really good at writing that note. Anyway, so for Jamboree, I'm just going to hop into Jamboree because that's what we're here. So you calendar block out your parties, your follow-ups, your family time, if you're doing Jamboree training, your 9 to 5 work, your downtime, and of course your reward time, because everyone needs something that they can reward themselves with as they go along and progress. So another reason for why we calendar block is that if you have an urgent and important conversation with someone and they're saying, I want to book a party, having already calendar blocked out your week or month, or even if you're like me, I've actually got the next 6 months already calendar blocked, it actually helps you just to be able to open up your diary and go, okay, I have got this time and date and this time and date free. Which one works better for you? And it just means that you can get on the spot bookings, which are more likely to follow through. It also motivates you because then it's kind of like you're there going, I have things, I want to have parties booked, I want to do training, I want to have one-on-ones and do little demos and whatnot. Well, if you've already calendar blocked and you know when you can do your Jamboree time, it actually motivates you to fill up the Jamboree time with Jamboree items. So if you know when you can have parties, you're like, right, I've got 6 spots in the next 2 weeks where I can actually do an in-home party. Let's fill up those spots, you know, and it's motivating to do that, which then also, you know, means that you're more successful in what you do. So it ends up being, you know, really, really, it has a really positive correlation. So by blocking out Jamboree time into your weekly schedule, it also creates a routine in your life around your work, if you've got kids at school or your husband's work, or if you've got extracurricular activities, it just helps you create a routine around your day-to-day life. Now, a lot of people I know do shift work, and so you might not have the same schedule every week, but the thing is you tend to know at least a week or two in advance what your roster is, and so you can at least plot down, like the first thing I do is I'll put my work hours into my diary. I will then have a look at my husband's work hours and the kids' extracurricular activities, and I put them in first because they are fixed things that I cannot change. And then I'll work all my other tasks around that and my party availabilities and party time availability and everything else. It also, having this calendar blocking and having this delegated time, it also prevents you from getting burnt out, and it just makes your time so much more manageable and you feel less like you're running around like a chook without a head. So how do you time block? So I've actually drawn up a really good example. Again, so here you've got Monday through to Sunday. Okay, so Monday to Friday, I've kind of just done a pretty much stock standard kind of time blocking. So I have got a proper Mondays, 9 to 5, Tuesdays 7 to 3, Wednesdays 9 to 5, Thursday is 11 to 7 or 8. And then Friday I've just got as a half day, just to kind of give you guys a bit of an example of different hours and work times and whatnot. And then obviously Saturday, Sunday too. Now, as I said, this is just a very lax example. You guys don't have to go off it entirely, but I have color coded it. So green is your work hours. So this is your, your pay by the hour kind of hours that you have. I've also got in there orange, which is like family rec time. So I've got over here on Sunday, if you go to church or if you have a Sunday morning activity, like kids that might do or Saturday as well. You know, kids that might do sport in the morning, or maybe they do surf club, or maybe it's on a Saturday or Sunday afternoon that they do that. So that's in there. I've also got up the top in the mornings along here actually is like if you're someone that goes to the gym before work, you know, so you've got that in there. If you're wondering what the blue is, that's essentially sleep. That's at the top and the bottom. I do have the times down here, which is actually from 6 a.m. until 10, because I feel like that's a pretty generic kind of time frame that people have available. So you will notice that I have got 3 other colours, yellow, pink and purple. Now, yellow is time that I have allocated in here for errands. So on the Tuesdays, for example, that, you know, you're finishing work at 3, you know, you've got a couple of hours to go to the post office or go to the bank or go to the doctor's or whatever appointment that you might have that fits under that 9 to 5 kind of restriction. And it's the same over here for Thursday morning and Friday afternoon, you know, if you've got a half day. So you know that for some of the appointments and your essential errands that you have to do are time restricted. So you make sure you have allowances for those, okay? And then outside of that, I have got purple down here as time for Jamboree. So you'll see on Monday to Wednesday, I've allowed in here 15 minutes to half an hour during a lunch break. Now I'm not saying everyone has to work through the lunch break, but if you're someone that likes to break it up and do, and this is for your power hour, by the way. So we'll get back to, this will make sense in a moment when I go through power hour. But you know, if you want to do like 15 minutes worth of like listening to a training video or maybe messaging customers and whatnot, maybe you can spend 15 minutes during your lunch break when you have a bit of free time, just doing that, and then you do the rest of your power hour in the early evening before, you know, your favorite TV show, because you can do that. Like you can actually, this is what this does, it actually delegates time solid, so you can still enjoy, you know, family time, like partner time if you've got a partner, or just downtime, you know, in the early evening and whatnot. Now over here I've got, you know, if you've got a half day or you finish around midday and stuff, you know, I've got errand time over here in yellow, but then I've got, you know, Jamboree to-do list time on the Friday. And then, you know, Sunday afternoon's usually a really good time to be chatting to hostesses or, people, because people are more likely to be home. People don't tend to answer many messages on Saturdays unless you're catching up to, or you're organising to go out for a drink with them that night. So Saturdays I don't tend to, that's just me personally. Saturdays from like all day and Sunday mornings, I don't tend to do any Jamboree work because people don't respond. Like if you want to do training videos and stuff like that, that's a great time to do them if you're not doing anything, but just going to let you know, people don't tend to respond to the kind of work that we're doing unless you're catching up with them for a drink. Now, you would notice that there's pink. Pink is time that I've put in here for my Jamboree parties. So I've got on a Friday evening from about 6:30 onwards. On Saturday, I've got a time from 10 to 12, and then I've got a time from 1 to 3, and then I've got a time again from like 6:30 or 6 until 10, like 9, 10 again. So in the evening, however, when you want to start and finish is up to you. And then Sunday, you know, because nobody actually usually wants to do Sunday mornings, but this is just whatever. But this is just my example. So it's not a, you know, it's not a Bible to go by, but this is just a really good example. So I've got in here, I know that for this particular week, I can do Friday night, Saturday morning, lunch, and evening, and I can do Sunday lunch as well. So I know that for the next week I can have 5 parties booked in, and I know when I'm going to do my Jamboree work, and I know when I'm going to have my rec time, and I know, you know, so that's what calendar blocking looks like. And you'll see there's still a lot of white in there as well, which is essentially flexibility time, and you need time to be flexible. You don't want to be, but you know, it's up to you. So that's just an example of what calendar blocking looks like. And how I like to do it is, you know, I'll start by putting in your fixed time things, so your work and your husband's work, school drop-offs and extracurricular activities. I'll put that in first in green. And then after you've done your extracurricular activities, I would then be adding in your gym, your after school, church. Then I'll be putting in my party availability spots because they seem to be at set times. So you can see that I've done that in pink. And then I put my family time in around that, which is orange, because you tend to be able to do party time. Party time and family time tend to be at completely different times anyway, just because of how family time works. Power hour time is what I've done in purple, and errands time is last, because usually that's the one that, you know, you can usually have a bit more flexibility about that. So that's how I like to do calendar blocking. And you'll know, and I've got, these are the same colours that I essentially use in my diary as well. So just to let you know, like, my diary is a bit of a mess, but I understand it and it looks right to me, but I'm pretty sure no one else could pick it up and understand what I'm actually saying. Okay, so with the power, that's calendar blocking. I hope I'm not speaking too quickly. So next up is your power hour. Again, in 4s. Power hours is pretty much 1 hour that we would like you to do every day, broken up into 4 sections. And the 4 sections are booking leads, recruiting leads, customer care, and hostess coaching. Now, booking leads, you get your booking leads for the first 2. So for booking leads and recruiting leads, you are working off essentially the same list, which is your Franks and your Beans list, or it's if you know what Franks and Beans are. If you don't, let me know, I can send it through to you. But there's also a document on Jamboree's Dash, which is called Who Do You Know, which is essentially little prompters to help you find, it's about 100 names. So that's what you work off when you're doing your booking and your recruiting leads. So with your booking leads, you find your booking leads through your Franks and Beans, through vendor events, through random, so vendor events is, you know, if you've got a market, you have a stall at a market, or online parties, or like, you know, pop-up shops and stuff like that. You've random cold leads is another way that you find booking leads, and that's like when you're at the shop and someone says to you, oh my goodness, I love your mani, like, and that's when you say, oh thanks, I did it myself. Would you like a sample? And they go, yeah, and you take their name and their number because you want to be able to follow up with them, and they go, yeah, sure, I'll buy a sheet of wraps. But that's your like random cold leads. It's like someone you're not even remotely connected to that you know of, and you've just got their name because maybe they mentioned it, or maybe you guys connected over having pit bulls, or you connected over having children the same age and stuff like that. So that's a random cold lead. Referrals is another really good way. So if one of your friends or your customers knows someone that wants to have a booking, wants to have a party, and they refer them onto you, that's also really good. And obviously for booking parties, you know, your past hostesses are usually your like go-to, because they've already had a party, you know, they love the product, and they probably want to have more because they know the benefit of hosting a party and getting that stuff for free and cheap and stuff. It is really important that when you do get a booking in this time, it comes under your number 1 in your prioritizing, you know. So once you have a hostess that's booked in a party, you want to be emailing them off their hostess info like as soon as possible, then and there. And you want to be sending posting in the mail their hostess pack like that afternoon or the next day. Now, the second 15-minute interval is your recruiting leads. Again, that comes from your Franks and Beans list. Another really good group of people to address for, you know, about whether or not they want to be joining the business is your best customers. Like, I know it seems obvious, but it's really not. But your best customers can sometimes be your best teammates and consultants in your team. So another really obvious but not apparent one is your past hostesses, or maybe your current upcoming hostesses. You know, they've already done half the work in terms of what it is to be a consultant just by hosting a party. So they have already auditioned in good terms of like what it's like to be a consultant. So they're really good people to ask as well. And, you know, they've already gone after the second best deal of how to get their Jamboree products, and that's through a party. Well, the best deal is actually becoming a consultant and getting that 30% off. And then again, referrals, you know, if a friend or a customer knows someone that might be interested in doing this as a business and they refer them onto you, that's another good list too. You end up having 3 categories of recruits, which is hot recruits, and they're people that are like, yes, I want to do this, send me the info, and they're hot, and they're someone that you want to keep on top of, and you want to be messaging them, you know, keeping contact with them fairly frequently until they decide which way they want to go. Then you have your warm, which are people who are like, oh, I thought about it, but maybe not right now. They're your warm. And your cold leads are essentially, your cold leads are someone that you haven't asked at all yet. So that's why they come under the 3. Your next 15-minute interval is your customer care leads, because it is so important to take care of your customers. It is easier to maintain a current customer than to find new customers. That's just how it works. That's just how retail is. So the best method of looking after your customers is the 222 method, which is messaging them or contacting them within 2 days, on 2 weeks, and at 2 months. The best way to do this is that after 2 days after they have ordered a product, you message them something along the lines of, hey, how you going? Have you received your order? If not, have a look make sure to keep an eye on your tracking number. If you don't know what it is, here it is. Most orders, unless they're just wraps, will always have tracking. Now, in case and this is a really good opportunity for then to you also to thank them. So thank you, I am so appreciative of you supporting my business. Also, here is some helpful information about the products that you have bought. Now, I like to send through a video or make sure that they have access to the application and removal videos of the wraps, or if it's gels, you know, there is a really good video demonstration, or you can do one yourself, but it's good to tag them or send them the link to those application videos. If they have bought something like the hair care, foot care, hand care, or anything that isn't essentially like nail decorations, it's really good at this point to actually send the info on that product, and all that stuff can be found on the Jam Dam. So then that's 2 days. At 2 weeks, they would have absolutely received their product by this point, and if they haven't, that's another kettle of fish. But anyway, so at 2 weeks, you'll be asking them, hey, how are you loving your product? Do you have any questions about it? You know, I know you're obviously loving the wraps right now. Would you mind sharing it on Facebook or on your Instagram and tagging me, please? Because it'd be so good for your friends to see how much you're loving it. That's your 2 week. And obviously, if they are having any issues or have any questions about the product, that's a really good opportunity to be able to help them out and answer anything that they need to know. Then the next one is 2 months. Now, 2 months is usually a really good time frame because most people would be running out of the nail wraps by that point, or they might be getting low on something else, or maybe they'd be looking at getting some different lacquers to mix up with their lacquers or gels or whatnot. And you can be hitting them up then, just saying, hey, how are you going with your wraps or gels? Had you thought about if you wanted to order some more, or are you running out and do you need some more? That's also a good time to ask them, I know you really love this product that you bought, would you consider hosting a party so you can get more through Hostess rewards, which means you get a free or discounted, or maybe in that time they've decided that they love their product so much that they want to sign up, and you can recruit them. So they then get funneled into your booking and recruiting leads, which is fantastic. A really good way of managing these long term. So you want to be messaging them like your customers every 2 months. Even if they haven't bought for 6 months, you essentially still want to be messaging them every 2 months. And a really good way to keep on track of that is, you know, for 1 month you do, so January, March, May, for example, you want to do everyone with their first name starting with A or to M. So A through to M. And then for February, April and June, you do everyone whose first name is between N and Z. And that is a really good way of managing all your customers without letting anyone slip through the cracks. So that's just something that I like to do. And I know a lot of other consultants really, and a lot of business people in general really love using that method. Now, the last 15 minutes that we use in our power hour is Hostess Coaching. Now, it is really important to keep tabs with your hostesses. There is a great video on the 5 touch points on Hostess Coaching, which is done by Tracy Ashburn, and it is found in the Hostess Coaching album here on the Team Jamafine Warrior group. If you need the link, message me and I'll send it through. But it helps run through, you go through specific to-dos that you have set for your hostesses. There is a really great document here on the Jam Dam, oh my goodness, on the dash under training and resources, which actually goes through like a checklist for Hostess Coaching as well. And so with each call, you know, you can touch base with, you know, how many people have you got? And do you have any questions? Do you need any more samples for your you know, your friends and whatnot to try before the party? Have you got any questions? And you can keep track with any incentives that you've set for your hostesses. So if any, like most of you girls who have had parties with me would know that I have started setting incentives for my hostesses for doing certain things before their party. So whether that's, you know, getting 3 outside orders, having their friends post a picture of their an accent nail and their nail on into the group event, or getting already pre-booking a party from her party. So stuff like that. So you keep track of how they're going for those incentives that you set for them. But also it just helps keep up the relationship with the hostess, because there is a direct correlation between hostess coaching and having a successful sales packed party. And you know, you want to be building that team approach with your hostess, because it's just going to make them feel so much more encouraged and enthusiastic to be working for their party. For each of those, so they're the 4 power hour topics that you need that are good to do every single day. Now, tips for the power hours is keep it to 15 minutes. So set a timer on your phone or on a kitchen timer or whatever, and at 15 minutes, stop. Take a 5-minute break if you need to, and get on to the next one. Go make a cup of coffee, come back and do the next one. It's also really good to make sure that you balance out those 4. So we've set 15 minutes for a reason, because we know through tried and tested methods that if you balance out those 4 topics, that's how you get a really good ongoing encouraged business. I know if you don't have any parties booked and whatnot, you can actually then split up the other 3 topics that you have, which is your customer care, your bookings and your recruiting leads. And you can then work towards, you know, getting bookings, which then means you will have your hostesses to coach. So that's a couple of really good points that I have to help with that. Now, outside of your power hour, that I think is important to do maybe once a fortnight, once a month even, if your business allows it, is to do some admin work. Now, admin work is like making sure that you're still stocked up on business cards, making sure you've got enough hostess packs made up already to give out, making sure you've got enough sample packs for when you've got, when you're at the shops or vendor events and everything like that. Other really good things that are good to do in this admin time is to look for vendor events on pop-up shops, is to look for fundraisers that you can be part of, to keep your workspace tidy and organized and get rid of any clutter. You can look up some training videos because there's a plethora of training videos under the training and resources tab. And it's under training resources and then training. There is all the Jamboree Jumpstart, there's Jamboree University, and there is always some, movie or something that's video or something that's been done through home office anyway. So that's a really good thing to keep track of. IPAs, so the income producing activities, you can find a list of more than 50 IPAs that is in the albums for How to Rock Your Jam Biz in the Team Jammer Theme Warrior album. So there are IPAs that you can do because, again, they are income producing activities for a reason, and a lot of them do fall under admin type things. So it's really good time in this admin time to touch base with what your goals are and how you're tracking with your goals, and use that time to reach out to your sponsor. If I'm your sponsor, reach out to me, or if I'm not your sponsor, then reach out to whoever sponsored you. But you're welcome to, if you're watching this, I'm probably a sponsor anyway, so just reach out to me. That's totally fine if you need to. Get your mailing sorted. So if you've got people who've requested samples and stuff, make sure that they're all up to date and you followed up with them. Another one to do is to schedule your posts on Facebook. Now, I use SynthShare. We also have access to Tiny Torch as well, which is really good, or Photofy. And what having scheduled posts does is just means that you don't have to spend anywhere near as much time every single day making sure that there is content in your Facebook groups and pages. And it's just easy. So I will schedule up to 2 months in advance with what we like to call engagement posts. So they're usually non-Jamboree related stuff or not product related stuff. It might be helpful tips and tricks to help with any of our products and hacks and stuff like that. But it's really good to pre-schedule those in, because then again, it just frees up so much time, and that might take me half an hour to an hour to do that. So when you're okay, take a breath. Take a drink of water. Sorry, I'm almost done. Now, outside of your power hour and your admin time, I guarantee, because I'm like this, you might come up with random, really great ideas, or you might realize, it'd be a really good idea if I message this person about that. And it is really easy to get yourself caught up with thinking of it and doing it straight away outside of your time that you've delegated to do these certain activities. And this isn't just for Jamboree, this is for life as well. And what I strongly recommend to you to save your sanity and save your relationships to those closest and dearest around you is to just write them down and then use the time that you've allocated to complete them. Obviously, if it's an urgent and important one, like you've just left home and then you've realised that you've left the stove on, obviously turn around and turn off the stove. But if there's other things that you've remembered that you need to do or you want to do, write them down and get back to it. Use a notebook. I use a notebook. There's actually a piece of paper that I keep in my diary that I write all my to-dos down in. Or I'll use the notes in my phone, and I have to be really careful with this because I still get really distracted by Instagram notification emails and Facebook notifications and text messages and stuff. So I have to be really, really disciplined with myself to just write it down in the notes and then leave my phone. And I suppose that's another topic entirely, is actually just knowing that when you've got your family time and your downtime and whatnot, especially when it comes time that you're spending with someone else, make sure you put that phone down and you don't look at it. You do not want your friends and family and your nearest and dearest to be like, and have that negative correlation with you starting the business as you being so absorbed with Jamboree that that's all you do. You do not want that to happen at all. So it's really important that you do delegate, some quality family time in there, because not only is that actually going to benefit your business, because you're going to feel like you're more together when you are working the business, but you're also going to benefit the relationships of the people around you, because they're going to see that you're really putting a priority on them when it's their time. And it also means that when you say to them, look, this is my business time, they're like, oh, of course, because you don't miss your business time with your rec time. So you did, like, and it just, I feel like, especially with children, when you can say to them, no, sorry, baby, this is mummy's work time. You need to go see dad. And when they know that I can say that, and they know that when I finish my work time, I'm going to be fully focused on them, I feel like they actually pay attention to that. And if anything, like I do have a kitchen timer in here that, Chase will check on in the window and it counts down until it's time for mummy to come out and play with him. And he really responds well to that, and he thrives on that. He'll see that timer and he'll be like, right, no, mummy's still working. Ali is obviously still a little bit too young to understand it, but man, it's working. And it means that they don't come and bug me. Like, obviously, like if I'm usually working like that when Sean's home. But I will do work when Ali goes down for a nap in the early afternoon. And I know I can trust Chase to kind of potter around and have quiet time himself, play in the backyard and stuff. I know that he's not going to come bug me unless it's an emergency, which is really good, because even he's like starting to learn what is, like, it's teaching him also that kind of self-discipline. And half the time I always finish early in that time slot anyway. So don't get caught up in other people's perceived urgency. So when Chase is like, Mum, what's up, baby? There's an aeroplane! Oh my goodness. Like, okay, kids are a great example of perceived urgency, but Sean's really bad for it too. He would come storming in here and say, oh, what have you got on tomorrow? And I'm like, oh, I must check my diary right now. No, it's not an emergency. It's not urgent. That's where I turn around and say to him, I will get to that after I'll ask him, is it important? Do I need to have a time right now? And he'll say, oh no, right. I have still got half an hour of work that I need to do. After that half an hour, I will come and organise what you want to do tomorrow. So he's actually also learned that unless it's something that needs to be booked then and there, he now knows not to come bug me, because it's counterproductive for me being efficient in here doing the workspace. So the kids and Sean have started learning about, respecting my time working, because it means that I can get my work over and done with so much quicker, which means I get back there and I get to spend time with them and have fun with them in uninterrupted family time. Now, with that, it's like being consistent about doing work at work. So Jamboree time is Jamboree time. When you're at work, so you work at Woolies or whatnot, when you're at Woolies working, you are at work Woolies. You're not checking your phone. And when you're doing family or recreation time, you're just doing family and recreation time, and you're not mixing it all up. Because again, having those boundaries and setting really clear boundaries is really good for you and your people that are around you. And it means you don't get fired at work for checking your phone and messaging customers and everything like that. And so that comes to my next point, which is my second last point of all of today, which is don't get caught up in replying to texts, emails, comments, notifications, and messages as soon as you get them. And so with that, I mean, I have some solid no phone times that I have during the day. So essentially between 7:30 and about 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning, I have strictly no phone time. I need to get better at doing this again, but it means that in the time in the morning that I'm getting Chase ready for school, taking him to school, at school in the morning, and when I get home and having some quality time with Alia in that time in the morning, they know I'm not going to be looking at my phone. So my phone will be beeping and there'll be notifications and stuff going on, but I'm like, no, I'm just going to leave that, because my kids will get cranky with me and start doing a number of attention-seeking behaviours if they're not getting that from me. So if I'm constantly got my face in my phone, they're going to start acting out. And that's important, because you really don't want to be that person that's too absorbed in their phone to realize what's going in front of you. But that also means, you know, when I sit down and, you know, it's about 10:30, 11-ish, I might sit Alia down and I'll give her something to eat, or might give her half an hour of TV time. That might be when I quickly go through my text messages and notifications and just catch up and see if, like, half the time it's just such and such liked your comment or such and such shared your post, and so you can ignore those. But if there's any messages or emails and stuff, I might read through them, respond if I need to. If it's an email that, you know, or something that needs a little bit more time and effort, then I write it down in my to-do list that I can do later. Because, like, making sure that you, like, instead of, like, acting on everything that comes through your phone as soon as it comes through your phone, and if you just delegate, like, that half an hour or something as Facebook time, like, you can actually delegate 15 to 20 minutes of, like, social media time if that's what you need to do, then do it. Because it just means that, you know, you're not, because notifications and stuff are going to come through 24/7. You'll get no sleep if you act on every single one of them straight away, but it also means you won't have much of a family life either. So having that time, like, you know, being strict on yourself with that, again, is just going to really improve the relationships that you have with those people around you. Because, yeah, doing this business, you can have a lot of messages and emails and stuff come through, and trust me, there is no such thing as a Jamboree emergency. So if something comes through that you think you're freaking out about, trust me, it's okay. You do not have to, like, get an answer straight away. You do not have to act on it straight away. Hell, like, if you feel like you need an answer straight away or semi-urgently, then post to the Team Jam Fabulous page or post to this page, because, you know, maybe someone else can respond straight away. But at the same time, like, just know that there is actually no such thing as a Jamboree emergency, so it can wait. It really can. And that's something that Alicia taught me. She said to me really early, like, there's no such thing as a Jamboree emergency. So yeah, it's important to cap your internet, Facebook, social media scrolling, because of all the above points. Now, that's me done. That's the you know, time management video redone. I hope you guys have taken away some. I might switch across and see if anyone's commented. Okay. I hope you guys can take away some really good points from all this, and I hope this helps with you guys starting your businesses, or if you've already had your business for a little while and you just didn't know how to time manage. I hope this has really helped you. If you do have any questions, as always, reach out to me. I can't wait to see what this has done or will do for your business, because I love to see you guys succeed really well. I am going to love you and leave you tonight now, and I hope you all have a good evening. Bye.